Joining me right now is Robert Hessel, the CEO of Source One Solutions. We're going to talk about his book, Safe City, which is about how you can make your city, your government, your area safe. It's a nice read because, you know, this book, Robert, as a compliment, is just such common sense. And a lot of times in security books, it gets too complicated and you forget about what the purpose is just to make everything safe. So tell me about your company, Source One Solutions. What do you do?
We're an IT services company recognized mostly in this town for providing commercial security systems to businesses that have at least 50 or more employees, or 100 or multiple locations, sorry. And a big part of our recognized accounts in this town are Amalie Arena, the Florida Aquarium, the Dolly Museum. So
big stuff,
larger, more complex solutions.
MLB, NHL, NFL, big events.
Yes.
You know, which are more difficult to plan for? The gargantuan events or the small events? And I would think just numbers-wise, the big events. But then I'm saying to myself, yeah, but we haven't had any big events that have really been targets. So tell me about that.
Well, they have different challenges. Larger facility, the more complex an installation can be and the more area that you have to cover. A smaller facility, maybe a little bit different budgets, and also, you know, these event holders have to really get it right when it comes to not providing an opportunity for an event to be unsecured, but not to freak people out where there's just too much security. There can be too much security or visible security to where people don't feel safe.
Well, we've gotten to it now, because if you would do security measures we have now 10 years ago, we might have, as you said, freaked out.
Yeah, I think you're getting much more used to seeing it. It's more commonplace to see cameras in places, and, you know, to have to go through a metal detector or be wanded down before you go into an event. I think people are accepting that and not so freaked out by it now.
Now, you have a little bit of a personal story about why, you know, what happened to you as a young man and how it affected you.
Yeah, when I was a young kid, it was the first family holiday we ever were able to go on. I think it was probably the only one that I went on. And while we were away, some punks in our neighborhood actually broke into our house. They ransacked the place. They stole my mother's jewelry, some of which was priceless and passed down. And worse yet, they beat up our dog Sammy. And so I remember what it was like, even at a young age, how violated I felt. So I can't imagine as an adult how bad that really feels, especially if you have kids involved in it. So, you know, that wasn't what got me in that field, but now that I am in that field, I do get a lot of satisfaction out of helping people.
The kind of neat thing about the book is that really this is a manual. If you're in city government or county government, it's kind of a manual to read, because one thing that I've learned about security is that it has to be everybody's effort. It can't just be one security company. Everybody has to have that mindset that we've got to work together on this.
It is. It's the entire community's responsibility. So businesses have to work with other businesses. They have to work with law enforcement, and the residents of a community are equally responsible for providing a safe event. A lot of people feel like maybe I shouldn't report something to the police if I see something suspicious, because I don't want to be wasting their time. But I can tell you from all the interviews that I've done and all the first responders I work with, they'd rather investigate something that turns out to be nothing than the other way around.
Does the fact that you have security present scare away potential bad people?
I think it does. I think we have a history at a lot of our events here in this country for providing such a safe event. Obviously, some are more challenging than the other, but there is a tremendous amount of planning at the federal, state, and local level, along with these event holders, long before an event ever takes place.
Now, is it a kind of true through this process? Because I used to do a program for the Defense Department for about 12 years right after 9/11. And when you have incidents like what occurred in Las Vegas, it's like you think you've thought of everything, and then all of a sudden, now we're not done diagnosing what happened there either, but you think you've thought of everything. What keeps you up at night in terms of, did I cover everything?
Well, you know, the event holders have the ultimate responsibility. We work with them. They're the ones that really do a lot of the planning, and we kind of work under their guide. But you always worry about, did we cover everything? Did we have enough cameras to provide a safe environment? And you know, our event holders really think about that. You know, locally here, I can tell you that they spend a lot of time planning for these types of things, and you know, our local facilities are actually a role model throughout the country for the safety that they provide and how well they execute an event.
Now, before the conversation conversation, you told me about some safety measures that we're not going to talk about at these events. But there are a lot of things that the public does not see that you have done either ahead of time or during that process that kind of give you a scale up on people that might be wanting to try to do something bad.
Yes, long before the gates open, long before the tailgating starts, before any of that happens, most facilities are actually swept and then deemed secure, and nobody comes in or out of those facilities once the responders have gone through and deemed it a secure event.
When I think about the two worst events that we've seen as far as mass casualties, they're lone gunmen. The Las Vegas, the lone gunman. Bataclan was not the lone gunman. That may be the exception to the rule in Paris, where you had a whole bunch of people that were involved in it. So intercepting that kind of information ahead of time, I mean, you've got to have that part of the process, don't you?
Yes, that's outside of our wheelhouse, but privacy laws, there's a fine line to walk from that. But I'm never one that worries about the government spying on us, because they're really not listening into our day-to-day conversation. They couldn't care less about what's going on, between you and your neighbors or something else. They're looking for very specific things and behaviors that they know to be identified already as a risk. Is there
what I call best practices, like there is with everything in terms of securing these big arenas?
Yeah, I mean, it starts at the planning level with the event coordinators, with first responders, all the way through to companies like ours that are working with them to deploy the technologies that are keeping people safe.
Do you ever get in a situation where you lay all this stuff out and have any of the companies that go, man, that's really expensive. That's kind of overdoing it?
Of course we do, and we wish that was never the case, but unfortunately everybody has budgets. But with the things that have happened in our country and things have changed, I do see people spending a lot more money to try to provide a safe event or a venue for somebody, because it is at the forefront of everybody's mind.
10 years ago, if people would have thought about being frisked or having metal rods when you go into the Lowry Park Zoo or any of these places, they couldn't imagine it. But today, I guess we're used to it. And do people complain about that stuff? Because I'm thinking about the Bucks games where you can only bring in a small amount, yet I really haven't heard a lot of complaining.
It's inconvenience at first, like when I went to the clear purses, that made everybody upset, but now so I think it's just a matter of people being trained on what the process is, and now I'm actually quite surprised if I don't run into some kind of security screening when I go to an event or a place.
You expect it
now.
Great advancement, see something, say something.
Absolutely. Our first responders would much rather, again, look into something and have it be nothing than to not have something reported and it be something bad happens as an end result. So all of our first responders want you to report something if it's suspicious or if it just even doesn't look right. It's Florida. If somebody's got a trench coat on in the summertime, that's probably not right.
Yeah, you would think so. What's been the reaction to your book? Because I find it fascinating.
I've had a great response to it, which is all I could ever have hoped for, so thank you for the compliment.
Well, it's true. I read a lot of books. Some of them get so complicated, but this really gets to the heart of the matter, is it has to be everything from law enforcement to neighborhood watches.
Yeah, we try to keep it simple when I was writing through this thing so that anybody could enjoy it and really just give a behind-the-scenes look into all of it.
Yeah, without giving anything away that the bad guys would like to know about. All right, Robert Hessel, the company is called Source One Solutions. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.